Classes in session.
Good evening. Unlearn 16 classes in session. Listen, guys, today you just get me, but you get me with some depth. You get me with some deep thoughts tonight. And just so everybody knows, I am taping this on Eclipse Day. So in Ontario, and I don't know, is it the world? Is it just Ontario and North America that got the total eclipse? I'm fuzzy on the silence. Don't come at me. Total eclipse. The last time there was a total eclipse was 1979, so I was 4. Don't do that math. I want to tell you a story. First, I want to tell you this story. Total eclipse of the heart has a very strong place in my heart because that was the first ever slow dance that I had, and it was at a trailer park. What, I don't know why I was camping at a trailer. My friend's grandma had a trailer in a trailer park, and it was a campfire, all of which things I don't do in nature. And that song came on, and this guy, very young, I don't know how old I was, like pre-grade 6, asked me to dance. And I have a visceral memory like of dancing to that song. And every time that song comes back, I'm like right to that point. Anyways, it's not the point really of this podcast. So today's the eclipse day. And the build up to this day, as you guys know, was ridiculous, right? Like in Ontario, school boards have shut down schools. They've switched around PD days so kids can be at home. My school's shut down. Everybody's talking about how it's going to burn your retina. These are the conversations we have, and it's so much different because now it's a total eclipse. And total eclipse, you're going to stare at it for exceptionally long periods of time, and we're all going to go blind. This was a lot of conversation, right? Like it was a lot of conversation, and to the point where today, like Anna was shutting all the blinds and stuff just in case like Presley accidentally came upstairs and looked out the window and stared at the sun maniacally, or Ripley, same deal, and they both burnt out their tiny little puppy kitty retinas. All of this buildup and all of this conversation. And then when it's kind of happening today, oh, by the way, Ontario, completely overcast. I'm going to come back to that metaphor in a second. Completely overcast. We didn't see anything. Where I was in Ajax, Ontario. Okay. So I'm sitting here and my mom, who by the way loves all this stuff, like she loves all of it. Like any big event, anything of any kind that's going to be, you know, I don't know if it's just like these big events that sort of motivate her, or that, she's been watching coverage for it all day. I'm not too sure what drives her, but she said, I'm going to try to explain it. And she says this: interesting that, of course, it gets colder with no sun. If the moon and sun got stuck together, we would all die. That's what she texted me. If they got stuck together. No, my mom knows that's not what's going on. Like she knows how far apart they are. But her head and the way it's working in this particular moment, because at some other point she's watching the whole thing on TV and she goes, I think it's kind of boring. She's like, I've been watching the thing all day in different places and different whatever. And she goes, I really like it. It makes me cry. So amazing. Listen, here's what I want to say about the eclipse. It's a couple things. And I think they're important things. So bear with me. Roll down this metaphor with me. I think people in general want two things in this world. And we don't articulate them all the time, but I think internally we want them. And then when stuff like this happens, you see it. Number one, we want to be a part of something important. Number two, we like and we strive for a sense of community and a sense of connectivity to other people on this planet. And I think when I look at this eclipse thing, and I separate the majesty of it, right? The beauty of it, the wonder of it, the science of it, all of those things that sort of make you feel, could make people feel small. This makes them feel a part of something important, a part of something big. And it was nothing big, guys. It was witnessing an event collectively. But I really want to focus on the fact that, because when I spend a lot of time talking about politics or talking about human nature, or talking about the way that people work together or don't work together and the divisive nature of all of these things. And I really think that those two drives, if we could tap into those two drives in an incredibly meaningful way, we would tap into what I think the root nature of humanity is. We want to be a part of something big and important, and we want to feel and be connected to other people on this planet at this time. And that's quite beautiful. That's quite impressive when you really think about it. If you agree with me, and you think that this is what's driving people, well, that's a beautiful basis, in my opinion, of human nature. That basis of human nature we can do something fantastic with. For a minute, and we'll deal with them separately. Let's deal with the idea of doing something important first, and then we'll talk about community second. Because if I was going to run, I'm not announcing anything, but if I was going to run, these would be my two fundamental principles about what people need and what people want in this world, and therefore from their elected representatives. Number one, they want to feel like what they do matters, who they are matters. And something like the eclipse, and giving this like external important event that only happens every 50 years, let's say, something like that. It's momentary, it doesn't last, but you can see why people are just drawn to it. So, on that fact alone, making people understand, making people aware, making people proud of who they are, of what they do, of the importance of their life today, in this minute, in this second, not 50 years from now, right now. The fact that you're here, the fact that you exert a level of control on your own life, and then it ripples to all these other people, the job you do, the people you love, the people you take care of, even the people you hurt, that matters. I honestly believe that if more people understood that they are powerful entities operating in this world, that they matter, that every single day they're a part of something important, maybe not an eclipse, but you understand what I'm saying? Don't we change a lot? Don't we look at mental health differently? Don't we look at our jobs differently? Don't we look at our friendships and our relationships and our impact on this world differently? And if we can start to look at those things differently, don't we feel better? Don't we stand taller? Isn't that level of, and I don't mean pride in a horrific sense, in an extreme sense. I mean a healthy sense of I matter. I matter. Everything I do is a solar eclipse. I know it's a shaky metaphor, but you understand what I'm saying? When I walk in this world, every step I take, it's a ripple. Decisions I make, streets I turn down, people I hold a door open for, my kids I send off to school with the lunch, the job that I do, all of those things are significant in and of themselves, and they're significant as an individual. And we might not be powering the world the same way the sun is, but we are powering, if not for us, we are powering the world. if not for all those individuals, right? Because we constantly, and maybe this would rock and change the way that we look at celebrity culture or billionaire culture, or the way that we prioritize, so and so who's a doctor over so and so who's a garbage collector, over so and so who's a teacher, and so is a lawyer. Maybe we would stop stacking them up as though they matter more or less, but rather we can start talking about how they matter and are vital and are essential differently. Maybe we can start seeing, that the kid that's struggling with dyslexia but can play an incredible guitar is bringing something to this world that literary geniuses aren't. Maybe we can start seeing for one damn minute that we're not all competing, that it's all a collective enterprise. I don't know, people in my comments, especially over there on X, are going to be like, oh, she's such a communist. Look, it's nothing about that. It's about being rational. It's about being clear-headed. It's about understanding all of the intricacies that are necessary for us as a person, as a family, as a society, as a to move, rather than pitting you against me, us against them. It's a shift. It's an ecosystem. It's a give and take. And I saw this image of this solar flare. So it's, some people obviously got to see the total eclipse because it wasn't overcast. They got these beautiful images. And the one that I like the most is the moon covering the sun, sure, in its entirety. And there's this one solar flare flashing from the bottom, perceivably the bottom of the sun. And the best part is solar flares happen all the time. You just don't see them. That this element of our solar system and that of everyday life, what seems as though to be unique and magical and one in a million, is happening all the time. We just don't see it. And if we saw it more often, would it make it less magical? Would it make it less impressive? Or if we saw it all the time, would we start to gain a better understanding about the way the world works? Are you guys with me? I know I'm like way deep here on a Monday night. But roll with me for a second, because we can have things that seem like magic. Solar flares in the middle of an eclipse. Or we can start pushing our society, and we have the capacity to a deeper, more nuanced understanding of the intricacies and the connectivity and the way that the whole world works. So we aren't controlled and in awe of magic. We understand and we see it and we respect it, but we use it to make better plans. We use it to understand deeper context. We use it so we're not now sitting here going, you versus us, them versus them, my job versus your job, my money versus your money. We stop doing it because this ridiculous notion that a solar flare only happens when we happen to see it, or we're only impressed by it because we could see it that one time. Maybe it's time we start understanding the depth of the things that happen every single day. And because those things happen every single day, that is what's spinning the world, right? Like watching the moon go in front of the sun, it's a lovely coincidence. Understanding that as we're moving around the sun, the moon's moving around, our whole solar systems, our solar system's moving around, we're all spinning in giant masses in space. What? And I think we exist in that awe. And then here's the cool part. we come together during that awe. You know, you see all of these people from all over the place coming to meeting points to witness this, but witness it together, to experience it as the human race. Think they care about what your politics are, how much money you made? No. In this moment, you understand that that eclipse matters because of where you are, and where we are is on this planet together. And if that's the case, then we need to start doing things, understanding that we're all on this planet together, that it is a collective experience. Religion, race, geographical boundaries. Listen, those all can get thrown out the window if we were to ever take a giant, if we were to zoom out, right? Zoom out. If we do that, we understand how connected and dependent and bound we are to one another here on this planet now. And everything we do connects to that. And everything we do causes a ripple effect of that. And the people we are and the decisions we make, and the need, by the way, to be a part of a bigger social environment. We are social animals. Well, why is that? Well, I believe that the nature of people being able to have emotion and to be able to linguistically and rationally express it, those things make us powerful. They can also segment us, they can divide us, they can limit us. But in my opinion, it is those things. Everybody's always talking about how we should limit our emotionality. Oh, emotions are bad. They're for a week. You got to be rational. You got to be this. You got to be this. You got to be cutthroat. You just got to make decisions. Facts don't care about feelings. I disagree. I'm going to say that our emotionality is what distinguishes us, and our ability to speak on it and connect with it and for it to drive, that's what makes us incredible, powerful. That's what differentiates us from everything else. It really does. Our emotion, not our rationality. Rationality is math and numbers, and I need this, so I'm going to go take that. And our emotionality makes us human. And our emotionality made us all stand and buy glasses and feel connected and stand in awe of something like this eclipse. That wasn't fact, that was feeling. That feeling drives us. It's that feeling that makes us want to know what comes after this. It's that feeling that makes us ask, why am I who I am? It's the feeling that makes us try to contemplate, do I have a soul? Does it go on? It makes that feelings are by far the most important thing about us. I think our lack of desire to express them, name them, describe them in a clear, concise way, that's what's limiting us. Have you ever noticed that in a lot of futuristic novels, um, the the idea of like telepathy, I think that's the word, if I'm using it wrong, is telepathy. What is it when you can read somebody else's mind? Now, some people would say, okay, but that's invasive. And what if they're thinking about it? But the underlying principle is this. If you can understand somebody, truly understand somebody, you can understand their intent, their emotionality, who they are, where they come from, it becomes a much more beautiful relationship. And the only reason we don't have that yet is because we're pretending as though the emotionality isn't our driving force. We're pretending as though we're these rational, robotic AI creatures Facts don't care about feelings. Well, of course, that's just flat out wrong. Why do you think we're so fixated and moved by love? Why do you think, I mean, it's what art and music and movies and all of this is what stands the test of time. Even somebody like, you watch a movie like Oppenheimer, you speak about Einstein and these mathematicians and physicists that they're always operating in fact. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're dealing in mathematical reality. But in order to discover something, guys, in order to take leaps, you need to trust your what? You can't trust fact. It hasn't been invented yet. You got to trust your feeling. You got to trust your intuition. You got to trust your gut. Call it whatever you want to call it. Anything amazing that has ever happened has happened because of feeling, because I think, I believe, I have faith, and I'm not talking religious though, that something else better is going to happen because I can feel it, I can sense it. Right? You go through, I mean, obviously I teach history, and you go through elements. You go through the scientific revolution and the enlightenment, and you move away from religion. But the funny part is religion is just thought and feeling that we couldn't quite express yet. I think we're about to have another revolution, and I think the revolution is going to be in mental health, and it's not the way you think it is. It's not because everybody's going to have an issue and blah, 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 blah. No, 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 no. We're going to finally start to come to an understanding that what we think matters more than what is. I know it's very postmodern. Roll with me. What we think about the world we're walking in matters more than what is, because you can't get around of what you think and feel. But if we were strong enough, brave enough, intelligent enough, thoughtful enough, articulate enough to put what we thought into words, to do our very best to have people around us understand what that is and why that is, I think that's the next revolution. That's the next big thing. Right now we're looking at mental health sort of from a negative perspective, right? People have mental health issues. We need to help them. Bullcrap. I mean, that's true. Lots of people need help for different reasons. That's not going to be the revolution. The revolution is that our mental health, our brain health matters. What we think matters more than what our circumstances are or what our body is doing, because our brain can control it. Because if the thought happens, right, that's what matters more. That's why so many people are all about, well, we might be in the matrix, because really, does it really matter? If you're plugged into something and you think this is reality, does it matter if it's not reality? Anna would be losing her mind if she was a part of this podcast. Like, does it matter if it's not reality? If your brain is tapped into it and it's going through the entire world and the entire life and all those experiences, does it matter that your body physically isn't doing it if your brain thinks you did? And I know it's weird when I think about the eclipse and I think about my first dance to total eclipse of the heart, but I think it matters, because those things that become meaningful and powerful and life-changing are all rooted in how it made me feel. That's why you'll get older and you'll never have music that impacts you the way it did when you were 14. And when you were 14, it's when things were forming for you. You were experiencing things for the first time. Your brain was evolving, was maturing. And it's in these moments that the for good or for bad, whatever was playing on the radio, that's it. Extrapolate that. That's not just about music. But what I am saying is this. It wasn't about the physicality of my first dance that I remember. It wasn't about the person necessarily. It was about the feeling I had in my gut that when that song comes on, I experience it all over again. And if that is human nature, that is beautiful and powerful. And if we need an eclipse to show itself every 50 years to try to recenter that, to try to connect us enough for a minute in order to go back and understand how we feel matters just as much as what is, if not more, I think it's beautiful. And I think we're ready for that next revolution. On that note, I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you next Tuesday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Dismissed.